Okay, welcome back to the third video of the Let's Play Caverns of Xaskazien 2 series that I'm working on here. The first in the series in which we'll actually play the game. We're going to start walking around in just 1 second. I want to do one last explanation of what it is we're looking at. Because the truth is, if you just started moving around and you didn't know what you were stepping on, you'd be in big trouble. So as I said, you can point at anything within here and you'll see it brings up information about it. The first thing I want to call your attention to, though, that we're pointing at within the view screen, is this black area that makes up the bulk of the map as far as we can tell, with the red eyes in it. The reason it's all black like that is because it's unknown. You have no clue what is out there. You might be able to hear a monster if it was way over here, but you can't see it, and you can't even see if there's a wall here for all you know. The easiest way and the most common way you're going to reveal that is by walking around, which we'll do in 1 second. You'll see that the map starts to show itself. You can also find maps sometimes, which will reveal the whole map. But to even get any benefit off of that while we're talking about it, you would need to raise your cartography skill. My character has untrained cartography skill, which means he literally cannot read a map. If he found one, it's just a piece of paper with squiggly lines on it to him, so it wouldn't do anything for him. The stuff we can see, though, we can start to identify. This stuff here, these are walls. For the most part, monsters can't walk through walls. A few can. Ghosts and that sort of incorporeal monsters can fly through them. Certain monsters can even burrow through them. And for that matter, you can sometimes walk through them if you had a certain spell effect going, or if you were operating a big giant drill or something, you could literally walk through the wall. But for the most part, they're impassable to you too. By contrast, all this brown area here that we're seeing is floor. Floor is, for the most part, open up to anybody who wants to walk around. I don't think there's many monsters. I don't think there's any monsters that are specifically blocked by floor. This here is stalagmite, very much like a wall. I can't walk through it. Most monsters can't walk through it, but flying monsters can pass right over it. And if I was flying, I could pass right over it. I'm not, though. It also doesn't block line of sight. You'll see I can't see through this wall. I don't know what's over here because I can't see through it. But I can see through the stalagmite. I can't actually see through it because this wall is in the way. But if I moved over a bit, I'd be able to see past the stalagmite. And we'll talk about that in a second, or we'll show it in a second. This little symbol is something you're going to see very often. And as you see, if I point at it, it says it's an object. Objects are, you don't know what they are. They can be a weapon. It could be a piece of armor. It could be, you know, some food. But it could also be a booby trap. So they're really a crapshoot. Most of the time, I think like 90% of the time, it's going to be something for you to pick up and shove in your backpack. But that 10% or whatever, I don't know what the actual ratio is. Occasionally, they might not be good. It could be a booby trap, and if you step on it, you're going to spring it and suffer the effects, whatever those effects may be. There's 45 or 50 different types of booby traps you can spring. The only exception to stepping on it and springing it would be, I guess, if you had certain items that can save you, magic items, but there's also a rogue skill called disarming. My guy's untrained, which means he doesn't know how to disarm, but if he had any clue about how to do that, if he had this at the basic level, if he had it at the advanced or expert level, then when he stepped on a booby trap, if that's what that is, there'd be a chance that it wouldn't go off, it would just go away. There's a second type of trap, though, that can occur, and that is pit traps. Pit traps, unlike booby traps, do not show up as objects. Here you have, you know that you're taking a risk by stepping on it. But the truth is, any floor, any empty floor, empty space, can be a pit trap. You really don't know unless you have one of those maps, or unless you got your pit detection skill up. Again, it's a rogue skill. Then if you stepped on a pit trap, there's a chance that you would detect it and back away before you actually sprung it. But we won't worry about those until they, I was going to say until they pop up, but I guess until they pop down, and we pop down with them. Up here we have a cooking fire. That's that little thing that was giving off light before. The cooking fire, you won't find them that often. They're not super uncommon, but they're not on every level. But they're where you cook meat. If you actually found meat, there's all kinds of meat you can find in the game. You can't eat the meat when it's raw, but if you bring it up to a cooking fire, you can cook it and then eat it. And it'll have different effects on your character depending on what type of meat it is. For instance, I think mutton, if you cook it and you eat it, will raise your strength. Rabbit, on the other hand, will raise your dexterity permanently. So there's all kinds of different meats. But how much you can cook them, if you had any, I don't have any, but if you had any, how well you can cook them, rather, is based on your cooking skill. My guy is completely untrained. He can still cook things, but basically all he does is shove them in the fire and gets out a charcoal briquette, which he can then eat. He'll literally char anything he tries to cook. If his cooking skill was expert, and he had a cooking pot, he could cook cook these exquisite dinners. And that'll affect how much he gets when he eats that meat. So if he cooked mutton right now and ate it, he would get 1 strength out of it. If he had expert cooking skill and he had a cooking pot, which gives you basically an extra level of cooking skill, he'd get 5 out of it. So it can be worth it. If you're finding a lot of meat, or you think you're going to find a lot of meat, or you just want to be a good cook, go for it. The last few things we see around here. The temple, quite important. Every single level, without exception, has a temple on it. Every single level, without exception, actually with one exception, the bottom level, the 30th level, also has a staircase on it, but we'll talk about that when we see one. The temple serves a bunch of purposes, but its primary purpose, if you want to get experience points, there's several ways. You can kill monsters, but you can also take your gold and your gems and bring them to a temple. As soon as you step on a temple square, all of your gold and gems get converted into experience points at a direct 1-to-1 ratio. So if you had 100 combined gold and gems, you step on a temple, that 100 combined gold and gems goes away, now you've got 100 experience points. Some characters like a rogue might get extra experience points, but that's a unique ability. Sometimes temples serve other purposes. There's a skill called piety. My character is not in any way pious, he's probably atheistic, but if he was pious, I think if it's at the advanced level, he could also pray at a temple every level, and once per level, and it would give him back health. Also, if you're a dryad character and you die, the unique ability of a dryad is they come back to life the first time they die, but they come back to life on the temple, so that's where they would pop up. The last things we need to talk about are right here, this river and this waterfall and this bridge. Sometimes you'll find rivers, sometimes you'll find lakes. They all function the same though. You'll see the water is graphically flowing in a given direction. That's just for graphical sake. It's technically not flowing in any direction, it's kind of flowing everywhere. It's messed up water in the caverns, I guess. But you do have something called a swimming skill right here, a general skill called swimming. My guy, again, untrained, doesn't have a clue how to swim. If he jumps in, he's going to bob around and hope for the best. What that means is every time you're in water squares, you can get pushed in a random direction. So if he's here, he might get pushed to here, he might get pushed to here, or he might not, he might stay there. His chance of staying there is based on his swimming skill. Especially if you're in a big lake, that can be a very important thing. If you can't reach the shoreline because you don't know how to swim, you're kind of screwed. Because the secondary effect water has is you can drown. Monsters can drown too, by the way, and get pushed around by the water if they fall in. Most of the time they'll try to avoid it unless they're really hungry for you. Yeah, that's also based on your swimming skill. As you'll see here when I point at it, if you look in Info Panel 1, it tells you about it. In this case, if I fell in the water, if I drowned, I would take 1 to 3 damage every time I drowned. That number is actually based on your health, your max health. The reason for that is I didn't want you to be able to get really, really high health and then say, now I don't have to worry about my swimming skill because the water's not going to hurt me. It always takes off a 5 to 10% of your health, your max health, if you drown. So you still need swimming skill no matter how high your health is if you intend to swim. The bridge, pretty clear. It provides safe passage. I can walk over that as if it was empty space. And the last thing is the waterfall. Basically, it serves as more rough water. There's a better chance I'm going to be moved by the currents. I could even be moved in this direction. As I said, it doesn't matter which way. It shoots you in a random direction. And I could take more damage depending on where I was. In this case, it's actually slightly less damage because it's a very small waterfall. But the deeper you go, the more damage the waterfalls do. That's literally everything we can see for now, so we're going to start moving around. Now, there are 2 ways that I can move. 3 ways, I guess, actually. I can use the number pad. Pressing 8 will move me up 1 square, 6 will move me right 1 square, 2 will move me down 1 square, 4 will move me left 1 square. I can also left-click any square. If I left-clicked here, I'd start running in that direction. If I left-clicked here, I'd start moving in that direction. There are exceptions, though, to the left-click move, and we'll get to that in a second. The final way I can move is just by putting the... If you see I move the cursor next to my character, it turns into these arrows. It's just a reminder, and actually a holdover, to be honest, from when the game used to be controlled that way. But I left it in because it looks cool. If I click that square, I'd move into it. The one other thing you should note about the mouse cursor moving around here, it's a sword right now. If I put it on my guy, it turns into a little blue ring hiding on the character. That can be a really convenient place to dock the mouse cursor, because for one thing, it doesn't obscure anything you're looking at, and for another, it's always pointing at the square you occupy. If I move, the mouse cursor will move with me. And that's useful because that way I always know everything I need to know about the square I'm in, and if I was standing on this monster, I'd know everything about the monster I need to know. Now, as promised, we're going to go kill him. So we're going to start taking some tentative steps towards him. I'm going to move very slowly so I can explain some stuff as we go along. And when we're done, we'll get back to more moving around and exploring. So if I press 2, boom, I move down a square. Oh shit, there's 2 of them. Now you'll note when I moved, he moved 2. Now let's take a look at these grublings. There's 2 of them. As I said, in info panel number 2, their stats pop up. And one thing I want you to look at right now is their speed. It's listed as SPD:fast. Most monsters aren't fast. Most monsters move at an average speed. Some move slow. Some are completely immobile. Some move just really slow, even slower than slow. And there are some that move fast. Now the reason that's important is fast monsters, every time I move, they move. And what that really means is once they catch up to me, I can't get away from them. Because every time I move, they're just going to follow me and go right with me. Versus an average speed monster, which moves, I think, 2 out of every 3 turns. Which means I can get away from it. If I walk away, it's not going to be able to keep up. Slow monsters I'll leave in the dust. But these guys are going to be on me in a second, so we're going to have to fight them. But let's take a look at some of the stuff we're looking at here before we get into a fight. Again, if you point at the monster... Oh, there's another cooking fire too, just so you know. Another stalagmite. Also, hopefully you noticed when I moved over here, yeah, some new stuff opened up. See, I can see in a straight line here. That's why this stuff opened up. But I can't see an infinite distance. That's why this is still black. If I had a light source like a torch or a candle or a candelabra or a lantern or a light spell, I could see further and this might be brighter. At any rate, we're talking about the grublings. When we point at them, you'll see a bunch of stats. The ATT stands for attack. That's the equivalent of their dexterity. Grubbling has a rough basic 10% chance to hit you unless you had something else going on. It has a defense of 0. Its defense is subtracted from your chance to hit it. So in this case we have a 36% chance to hit minus its defense, which is 0, leaves us with 36% chance to hit. Its intelligence is standard. Intelligence dictates how easily monsters find you. There are 4 levels of intelligence. At the standard level, they rely on sight and sound to find you. Now, all monsters can see an infinite range. Unlike you can only see to here, but you're a surface dweller. Monsters live underground. Even if a monster was way down here, if there was an unobstructed line of sight, it could see you way up here, even if you couldn't see it. And if a monster can see you, of standard intelligence, if a monster can see you, it'll move towards you and try to kill you. Even if they can't see you, they can hear you. And the way that works is there's a distance, an unknown distance, from each monster every turn, at which it can hear you. And then even if it can't see you, it'll start moving towards you. So even if I was up beyond these walls, there's a chance the grubbling would hear me and start moving towards me. I might not know it because I couldn't see it. What was I going to say? That amount, though, how far away it can hear you, changes every turn. I think it's between 4 and 10 squares on average. I could be wrong. It could be less than that. But whatever it is, maybe it can only hear me at 4 squares distant this turn, but next turn it can hear me 6 squares distant. So every monster, it's just going to keep fluctuating. So bottom line, if you want to not fight, stay out of their sight and stay far away. Now that's for intelligence standard monsters, standard intelligence monsters. Below standard intelligence, you have animal intelligence. Animals, the way the game handles them at least, it relies only on sound. Really what that means is they're not as aggressive, because even if they can see you from far away, they won't mess with you. They only mess with you if you get near enough to them that they can hear you and to feel threatened. So, for the purposes of animals, if you keep your distance, animal intelligence, not just necessarily animals, but animal intelligence, creatures, if you keep your distance, they won't mess with you. At the opposite end of the spectrum, you have genius-level monsters. Genius-level monsters are almost essentially psychic. They always know exactly where you are, whether they can see you or hear you or not. And they will always find the best way, safest way possible, fastest, safest way possible to reach you. So there's no hiding from genius-level monsters. The only other intelligence level there is in the game is automaton. Automatons are kind of like genius in the sense that they always know where you are. They don't have to see you, they don't have to hear you. But automaton creatures are so stupid, they won't even try to walk around obstacles. So if there was an automaton, say, let's say it was a flying automaton in that stalagmite, it would not have the common sense to go up and around this wall to get at me. It would just try to bang into the wall and perpetually be blocked. So those are the 4 intelligence levels. You can also see how much damage the monster does. In this case, it does 1-to-1. If it hits me, it's going to cost me 1 health point. There's a symbol next to the damage. You'll see right down there. See in the area that disappears when I move the cursor. That symbol, in this case, the little sword, means it does physical damage. If you had armor, say, that protected you from fire, you had some magic armor that was fire resistant, and there was a symbol of fire next to that 1-to-1, then you would take less damage. But most monsters do physical damage. That's just standard damage. The last thing you'll see down there is experience, in terms of the big numbers. Experience, and this one's listed at 10. If I kill it, I'll get 10 experience points, which would mean I would have 10 out of 300. I need to go up a level. You'll also see its health. Sorry, I didn't mention that. It has 1 health point. If I hit it, it's dead. That simple. That may not be true for all Grublings. This one has 2 health points, for instance, but it'll be somewhere pretty low because Grublings are weak. You'll also see resistances. In this case, they have none, but there may be monsters later that have resistance. If there is, we'll talk about it. Below that, you'll see it says they cannot enter any pits, flame, lava, or acid. So those are certain squares that you just know they're never going to enter, so you don't have to worry about it. Below that, you'll see what type of creature it is. In this case, person. Remember, there are 9 different types of monsters. Person is one of them. They're currently indifferent towards me. What else we want to see? Below that, we'll see the odds, the combat odds. So we can actually assess how we're going to fare in combat even before we get into it. In this case, you can see my odds of hitting it. It says your odds. 36%. We already know we have a 36% chance to hit this monster. So better than 1 in 3 chance we're going to hit it every time we swing. We're going to hit it for 1 to 3 damage plus a 6% chance of that 1 to 2 bonus strength damage. It, on the other hand, has a 10% chance to hit us for 1 damage. So we outclass this Grubling pretty drastically. It can also only take 1 damage, we can take 30. It's not really a great threat. One thing to note though, it mentions the odds 10% and my odds 36. The minimum odds any monster can have to hit you, and the minimum odds you can have to hit any monster is 10%. No matter what its defense is, no matter how hard it should be to hit it, it never goes below 10%. So that, that can save you, even if you're fighting a monster with 1,000 defense, which there isn't. But if you were fighting one, you'd still have a 10% chance to hit it. It also means, though, that this monster, which has an attack of 10, if you were wearing armor, it wouldn't affect it, because armor raises your defense. Your defense is subtracted from its odds, and its odds are 10%. So I just mentioned this, if you were wearing armor and you wanted to fight this thing, it might even be worthwhile to remove your armor, for the simple reason being that your armor gets damaged just like weapons during combat, and it's not doing you any good against this particular monster, so something to keep in mind. Alright, we're going to keep going down, and we're going to fight this little bugger. One other thing, I guess, actually, if I wanted to pass my turn and stay here, maybe I'll even do that. If I press the number 5 on the number pad, or if I press the space bar, or for that matter, if I click my own square, i.e. move to your own square, it passes my turn. Let's do that. There, you'll see they moved up. I passed my turn again, one of them moved up. The one that only had 1 hit point, and if you were watching there, you saw I hit it, I did 1 damage, it's dead, I now have 10 experience. And you'll see this little bar starts to fill up as it moves towards 300. There's also a little corpse beneath me, and when I point at it, we're no longer getting any info in the info panel number 2, because the Grubling's not there anymore, it's dead. I'm going to move down and fight this other guy. There we go, I hit him, he's dead. Simple, easy peasy. 2 dead Grublings side by side, they no longer pose a threat, I've got 20 experience. So not a problem at all. You'll also see we can see more stuff down here. This, I think, got revealed a while ago, actually. A layer, we'll come back to that later. It's important, it's a way to get off this map. But we'll come back to that later, it's not that important right now. Here's the outer wall. This is just decorative, it's a grate, it's where the river's allegedly flowing, but the truth is, it's still just a wall that you can't get through to keep you from getting off the map. Even if you could burrow through walls, you can't actually get, I don't think you can burrow through outer walls, but even if you could, you can't get out here, for the record. That howling sound we hear is coming from, the wind is coming from that layer. It just puts out that noise. I'm going to keep walking around, but for a moment I'm going to actually use the mouse cursor and show you what I meant about moving around. I'm going to click up here and you'll see my guy runs there. That simple. Now, the thing is, there's a bunch more stuff revealed. I also hear some other monster out there. As I said, if I click anywhere, I'm going to move there, but if I click somewhere, say over here, I won't move. Why? Because there is unknown territory between me and there, and it will not let you move through unknown territory. Likewise, it won't let you move over something that could hurt you. Now let's say I click here, it's not going to move me. The reason is, to get there, maybe I'd have to cross the river would hurt me. Even if I crossed the bridge, I would have to step on the square, and if that square happened to be a booby trap, it could hurt me. So it will not let you move anywhere that either crosses unknown territory or potentially harmful territory. Anywhere else you press, it'll move you there by whatever the most direct route it sees is. Oh, interesting. And I'll explain what just happened there, because this is a weird coincidence. If I point here, you'll see there's a new monster on me, a wisp. Totally different stats. It's actually a lot tougher in general. It has an attack of 30 versus the grublings that had an attack of 10. It has a defense of 20, which should make it much harder to hit. But you'll note my odds of hitting it are actually higher, 46%. Why is that? I'm not entirely sure. There is a reason. Oh, I see why. Do I see why? Yes, I do see why. If we go to here, if we remember, one of our skills that we actually have is basic entomology. Basic entomology gives us plus 30 to hit versus insectoid creatures. And when we look over here, if we look down, we'll see it is a diabolic / insectoid. It's a unique monster in the sense that it actually combines the characteristics of both. If I had plus 30 to hit diabolics and I had plus 30 to hit insectoids, I would now have plus 60 to hit. On the other hand, it combines both racial attitudes as well. So if diabolics hated me and insectoids hated me, it would have plus 40 to hit me instead of just plus 20. Remember, insectoids do hate me, so actually it does have... I think they do, don't they? Isn't that right? Let's go and see. Oh, no, animals hate me, that's right. I'm safe from... I'm not safe from, but it's animals that hate me, not insectoids. So we're not hated by these. But the reason my odds are actually higher is because I get plus 30 to hit. So I get plus 30 to hit for my basic entomology, but I lose 20 to hit because of its defense, which leaves me with a net of plus 10 to hit, or a 46% chance. Its odds are its attack value 30 minus my defense, which is 0, and it can do 1 to 3 damage. The other things I want to quickly point out here, though, are if you look next to its damage rating, you'll see that fire head. That means it does fire-based damage. That was what we were talking about earlier. If I happen to actually have fire-resistant armor, which I don't, it would do less damage to me. It, on the other hand, has resistances of fire 100%. What that means is if I hit it with any sort of fire-based damage, I'm not going to hurt it in any way. Now, I could hit it with fire-based damage, actually, because I have this flaming dart spell. But it would be really stupid to cast a flaming dart spell at a creature made of fire, because it's not going to do anything. So in this case, I won't do that. The other thing you want to note, it says there it's flying, which means it could pass over those stalagmites, for instance. It could pass over water, no problem, without getting swept away in the current, etc. It can't enter any doors. It doesn't have opposable thumbs, but there are no doors around, so it doesn't help us. The last thing you'll see there, though, is it says it has a 1 in 6 chance of teleporting itself each turn. Every turn that goes by, there's a 1 in 6 chance it's just going to randomly disappear from where it is and randomly reappear somewhere on the map. In this particular case, it randomly reappeared right beside me exactly as I started to walk, which is why I'm suddenly on top of it. But as long as it's here, I can probably take it, and the truth is, I'm tougher than it, and I don't want it teleporting away before I can kill it, so I'm going to stand here and fight it by just passing my turn. I swing, I miss, it hits me for 2 damage. I swing, I miss, it misses. Oh, and it teleported away. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is talk about those text prompts I was talking about earlier, just to show you an example of what that would do for us down here. Our text prompts are set to expert, but let's put them all the way down to basic. Down here's another monster called an Energon. Has different stats, but nothing really major. It's resistant to electricity instead of fire. It's a pretty simple monster. It has intelligence animal, so it's pretty stupid. It'll stay away from me if I don't get too close to it. It's also really slow. Watch, when I walk around, see, it doesn't move as fast as I do. Actually, it moves 1 out of every 3 turns, it looks like. You also note, when I got far enough away, it disappeared. That's because I actually cannot see into these squares. Once you're far enough away and your light doesn't reach it, you don't know what monsters are there. You still remember what's on the map, that's why it still shows up, the squares. But the monsters disappear when they're in the darkest of shaded squares. But let's actually go and fight it for a minute, because I want to show you what happens with the text prompts set to basic. This is just one example. There's a lot of examples of what happens. If I step on it, not only do I have the numbers scrolling up that we had here, but now we actually get combat results down here. It tells me I missed the Energon. The Energon hits me for 1 point of damage. As I said, it slows the game down because I actually have to go down here and click OK, or I could press the letter O to dismiss that. But that'll happen every single combat turn. I miss it, it misses me. So if you're having trouble keeping up with what's going on in the game, there you go. I hit the Energon for 3 points of damage, it misses me, and it's dead. I can click OK. And it tells me my experience that I got there. But I'm going to set those all the way back up to expert because, well, I'm an expert. There we go. We may be getting near the point where we're going to call this video done, but I'm going to do one last example, and then we're going to return for a video which is just walking around, and I'm only going to highlight things that pop up that are important. Up here you'll see some gold. Let's go up there for a minute. Go bit by bit. There's that damn wisp again. Actually, no, let's go find that voice, that screaming voice. That is not the screaming voice. While we're on the subject, here's gold. If I walked on there, it would give me the option of picking it up, and I'd have some gold to go in this slot. We'll get that in a second. This is a riddle. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of different types of squares, so I probably won't call everything out. I'll only call out things that are pertinent. Maybe I'll call everything out as we go. I don't know. In this case, though, it's an easy riddle, and if you read the square, what it tells me is there's a chance to answer the riddle is based on my intelligence. My intelligence, or 90, whichever is lower, is the % chance of answering it correctly. If I do answer it, I get a new weapon, or a new armor, or a new spell, or a certain amount of gems. And you'll see written in red there, it actually does the calculation for me. It says your intelligence, or 90, whichever is lower. In this case, my chance to answer the riddle is 40%. What the hell? I'm here. I'm going to step on it and see what happens. And I failed. The numbers didn't work in my favor. I don't get jack squat out of that. Now I'm going to walk over here using the number keys and see where the hell this screaming woman is. If I can. She's somewhere over here. I'll talk about all these squares in a minute. Let's find the woman first. Where the hell does she go? Fucking wisp. I shouldn't have swore. Is she up here? I'll kill off this wisp while I have the chance. You'll note my health is dropping slowly and the green status bar is going down because I'm getting killed. Not getting killed, but getting hurt by monsters. You'll note its status bar went down as well. It only has 1 health point left. I have 22, so I'm not too worried about it. There, it's dead. Alright, where is this woman? Alright, this is a door. Not just any door, it is a heavy door. You can tell the difference between this and a normal door. I don't know if you've seen a normal door yet. Normal doors are wood, heavy doors are metal. You can also just point at them and learn. Heavy doors are no different than normal doors for the most part. They function exactly the same, but normal doors you can just walk through by stepping on them. Heavy doors require some effort, and how easy it is to open them is based on your strength. Monsters have difficulty opening it too. Weak monsters have difficulty opening it. Strong monsters can get through it easy. Our strength is pretty low, so it's actually going to take some effort to get through this damn thing. But you can see right there it tells us the chance to open it is 20%. Now, I'm going to try stepping on it. Oh, I was successful the first time. But I'm going to try to go back to demonstrate. There you go. See, I'm not going through it. There we go. It's not a one-shot deal, though. If you don't get through it the first time, you can just keep trying. Alright, I'm going to talk about this right now. These are telepads. Telepads teleport you to the sister telepad. In this particular case, this telepad is pretty useless because its sister is right there. Often they're on the other side of the map. If it was up here and the other telepad was down here, when I stepped on that one, it would teleport me down there, and vice versa. But I'll show you right now. If I walk onto that teleporter, boom, I teleport to the other one. Monsters can't use telepads, so they can be a good way to get away from them. That screaming woman is somewhere around here. Where is she? She's not up there. Is she down here? Where is she? Unless she's dead already. I don't hear her anymore. It's freaking me out. Oh, there she is. I hear her anyway. Let's kill this wisp. Nope. Where are you, woman? Kill the wisp. Nope. Where did you go, girl? Where is she? Where the hell is this woman? I do not see her. Interesting. Where is she? In case you're wondering why I'm moving my cursor along here, sometimes walls aren't really walls, they're illusory walls, but if you point at them, you'll find that out. You can also see them flicker if they're illusory walls. I don't see one. Could also be a secret door or something. Oh, did I see it? Or did it say empty space? I think it just said empty space. I don't know where that woman is. I've literally never had this happen before. And that's a piss poor thing to have happen when you're trying to explain a game and you can't explain why there's a screaming woman that can't be reached. I don't know. Oh, maybe she's beyond the pit. Oh, there she is. Okay, she was somewhere over here wandering around. Yeah, she's still yelling. This is a damsel, hopefully. If you see when I point at her, it says damsel. Now, there are friendly monsters in the game, friendly characters, NPCs. In this case, a damsel Just needs rescuing. All you have to do is step on her square. As soon as you step on her square, she's rescued, and you get something out of it. What you get for rescuing damsels is experience. Yes, I know it's misogynistic to have damsels screaming for help, but it's also a trope of fantasy gaming, so give me a break. I'm doing it. I'm going to go step on her, and let's see what happens, because there's a chance she's not a damsel. Oh, she wandered away. There she is. If I can catch up to her. There, she wasn't a damsel. Most of the time, those things are damsels. But in this case, what it actually was a succubus. Succubi are a special type of monster that have their special power is they look like damsels. So it wanders around screaming for help. But when you step on it, it turns into this monster that you have to fight. It's not a particularly powerful monster. But it does have one special ability, which is a 10% chance of causing confusion on a hit. If it hits me, I can get confused, and you'll see what happens if that happens. For now, I'm just going to fight it, and it's dead. No big deal. For the record, if it had been a damsel, and any other monster had touched it before I touched it, the damsel would be eaten and killed. That's true for almost all NPCs. If monsters get to them before you do, they're dead. Now, most monsters will not seek them out. It's just if they coincidentally cross paths, they kill them. But still, they tend to die pretty often. Alright, we're done with the damsel. I think the only monster left on this level is that wisp. This is a pendulum blade. In this case, a slow, dull pendulum blade. If I was stepped on it, I'd have a chance to get by it without getting cut, based on my dexterity. In this case, I'd have a 30% chance of dodging it. And the damage if I failed would be a 3 to 15 damage. So I don't want to do that. There's nothing up here that I can see. There's no reason to go up there. But if that had been in a different location, I might have to cross paths with it. Likewise, this pit. It's an open pit. My chance to cross it is based on my strength. In this case, it's a medium-sized pit. That's why it's called an open pit. If it was a smaller pit, it'd be called a narrow pit. If it was larger, it'd be called a wide pit. But my odds of leaping across it would be 10%. If I stepped on the square, I'd have a 10% chance that I would instantly be in this square instead without falling in. If my strength was higher, that chance would be greater. If I failed, I'd be in the pit and I'd take 1 damage. But again, I don't see any real reason to go up there because there's probably nothing in this square, so I'm not going to bother. What I will do is quickly go over to the gold. And as you see, it gives me the option. Here's where the status bar is coming into play, even though I'm on expert text prompts, because this information needs to be conveyed. I can press Y, I can press N, or I can just click on the button. Yes, I want to take it, and I found 4 gold pieces. If I now bring that to the temple, I'll just run over here and left-click the temple. Boom. The 4 gold pieces is gone. My experience went up by 4 points. I'm going to start gathering all the gold. Simple thing to do. There's gold. Oh, here's that damn wisp. Oh, it's gone again. Stupid wisp getting away from me. Some gold up here. I'm going to go around and grab it. And as you can see, it doesn't matter where you're on the map. If you can find a route, it'll get you there. Here we go. Click this. I'm back. That seems to be all the loose gold I see you laying around. There's also this chest, though. Chests contain gold, always. But they also sometimes contain gems. And they also sometimes contain trinkets, which are a special type of treasure that is really, really valuable, but takes up inventory slots. And you have to sell it to a smuggler to convert it to gold and gems before you can actually get any benefit from it. Damn you, you wisp. Yeah, it's dead. Alright, I'm going up to the chest. Yes, I'm going to open it. The thing about chests, as you can see right here, there's a 30% chance that there's a booby trap on it. Sometimes they're locked as well, and you need lockpicking skill to open those. But this one's not locked. It may be trapped. Let's find out. I open it. There's a trap. In this particular case, it was a summoning trap. This text is slightly wrong. I should say okay, but that's fine. A brigand appeared is what it was. Booby trap, a brigand appeared. Now, the brigand is actually a relatively powerful monster. Certainly it's more powerful than the other monsters I've been facing on this level. When you get a summoning trap, it summons a random monster from in the game. So it could be on level 30, you summon in some weak little grubbling, but it could be on level 1 that you summon in some giant dragon. Summoning traps are not that common. In this case, it summoned up something that's not that powerful, but it's powerful enough that you can see I have a 10% chance to hit it. It has a 65% chance to hit me. I'm not going to stand and fight it. Brigands also have a special ability, and that is when they hit me, they steal my golden gems. I just found golden gems in that chest. That brigand hit me and it stole it all. I'm not going to get it back. Even if you kill it, you don't get it back, but I'm not going to stand here and fight it. Fortunately, it's of average speed, so I can get away from it just by walking away. See? I'm going to grab up whatever this object is. Tiny health potion. Useful. If we head into our inventory, we can point at that, and here's what it tells you it does. If I drink it by left-clicking it, it'll restore 3 to 15 health. I can only use the potion once, though. There is a slim chance, I don't know what it is, maybe 15%, maybe 5%, I forget, that any given potion you find is harmful. They could be poisonous, they could carry a disease, they could be acidic, but usually they do what they say they'll do. We'll come back to that topic a little later. For now, let's just carry that inventory, or that potion in our inventory. I'm going to run up and see what the hell this object is, too, by walking across the bridge. And I found an unknown potion, so we'll talk about that right now. If we point at this potion, you'll see drinking it will have an unknown effect. Now, there is a mage skill called alchemy. My character will probably learn it, because he's a mage-type character, a necromancer. But for now, he doesn't know anything about potions. As I get it leveled up to basic, to advanced, to expert, I can start identifying more and more potions. For now, I can still use this potion. I could left-click it, and it would have whatever effect it's going to have. But I have no idea what that effect is, so I'm not going to use it right now. If I get my alchemy skill up, I'll be able to tell what they are before I drink them. What else do I want to show you before we run away from that brigand to the lair? Actually, there's still some stuff over here that we might want to quickly grab. I'm going to manually control things because if I use the mouse, oh shoot, I'm going to end up bumping into that brigand. I gotta get through this damned heavy door too, while the brigand bears down on me. Okay. This is an automated armorer. It's a machine that you can shove all your weapons and armor into, and it tries to repair them for you. But it's of gnomish design. Gnomes don't always design the best stuff. So in this particular case, if I step on here, you'll see it gives me the option, yes or no, do I want to use it? I don't. But if I had, it would take every single armor and weapon I'm carrying in my inventory. So if I didn't want it to go into if I didn't want to feed it into the machine, I had to drop that stuff first. If it's in my inventory and I use this thing, it's going to get fed into the machine. The machine has a 75% chance that it'll restore the condition of the object all the way back to 100%, even if it's at 1%, even if it's at 0%. But there's a 25% chance that it completely mangles the item and destroys it. For now, my pitchfork is still at 91% condition, near perfect. I'm not going to mess with it. I do want to open this chest, though, so I'm going to go up there. Let's see what this chest has in it. Another booby trap. In this case, a map erasure trap. It erased my map. It doesn't hurt me in any way, but now I don't know what the hell's out there. And I found one of those trinkets, a fine tunic. It takes up 2 inventory slots, as you'll see, but it's worth 100 gold pieces. However, it doesn't do me any good unless I can find a smuggler to sell it to. Smugglers aren't that uncommon. You find them like every 3rd level-ish, roughly. Sometimes more frequently, sometimes less. Let's get out of this level. I think we saw everything we wanted to see here anyway. We also have 1 gold piece, which we... Ah, frack. Okay, I got away from it. He didn't hit me to steal my 1 gold piece. There's also mushrooms here. I'm not going to eat them, but let's take a look at them. If I did go on it, it would give me an option of eating, and it would have a random effect. You can only eat the mushroom patch once. It might heal me. It might gain me some intelligence points. It might cure diseases. It might restore my spell points if they were down. But it might also have some other negative effects, like causing a disease called red stain fugue, poisoning me, or causing me to hallucinate, or it might do nothing at all. For the moment, I just don't think it's worth the risk. So the name of the game here is risk management, really, so I don't want to take that risk. Instead, I'm just going to go to this lair. Now, there is a staircase here I could take. If I went to here and stepped on it, it would give me an option of using it. If I used it, I would go down to dungeon level 2, a new map. But I find one of the things I mentioned earlier, if you go down to dungeon level 30 and you're not ready, well, you're going to get stomped on. So you kind of want to linger on each level as long as you can. If you can find a way to climb back up levels, all the better. In this case, a lair will take me to another new map on dungeon level 1. So I'm no closer to Xaskazien, but it gives me more time to deal with weak monsters. Lairs are different from just random levels, though, because lairs are the home of one exclusive type of monster. So all the monsters you meet will be that one exact type. There's also extra gold in lairs, and some other lairs have unique features. Let's find out what this one is. An energon matrix. It says here, energons usually spring up in areas where vast amounts of electrical energy were once employed by mages. Magical archways, recharge stations, and abandoned paraphernalia are frequent finds within. So there's probably some magic items inside. There could be. There's certainly extra gold. And energons, we already fought one of those. They're not that tough. So yes, I'm going to go there. And here we are in the completely new level, the energon matrix, as you see it says here. And we're going to save exploring the energon matrix for another playthrough, another video. So I'm going to call it quits for now. See you soon.